YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. Look, turn up your volume for this one. XRP holders, I'm warning you, something massive just flipped in your favor, and it's happening faster than anyone actually expected. If you thought that last bull run was wild, what I'm about to show you today, it's the kind of stuff that creates generational wealth. Got your attention now, don't I? And XRP, you guessed it, it is sitting dead center of the blast radius. Strap in, because the crypto landscape, it just changed forever, and we're going to start right here. This is the moment that everyone, even your kids, they're going to look back on this moment and say, oh, that's when the entire system changed. The OCC just gave US banks the green light to hold crypto on their balance sheets, specifically for paying blockchain gas fees. Now, if they're going to be paying blockchain gas fees, ask yourself, why? Because they're tapping in ISO 20022. You understand? They're going to tap in to these different networks and blockchains, and they need to hold crypto so they can pay the fees so they can use them. This is not some minor regulatory tweak that you're seeing right here. This is the US government essentially admitting that crypto rails are now critical financial infrastructure. I want you to think about what this actually unlocks, right? Banks, they can now directly hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and other native tokens. They can pay network fees without third-party intermediaries. It brings blockchain operations inside of your traditional banking system. This is the moment where TradeFi quietly says, yeah, we actually need those networks, and we actually need the crypto that is native to that network so we can use the network. And here's why this is all bullish for XRP. Banks, they thrive on what? Efficiency and speed. An XRP settlement system, it's built exactly for that use case, everyone. Institutions are moving towards this every single day. That is why the ISO migration is so big. It allows these banks to finally tap in to these different blockchains and digital ledger technologies. But if you think this part's crazy, you better hold up a damn second, because the next update I'm going to show you, it's going to show you exactly where the money is starting to rotate. Check this out. While banks are stepping in, big money investors, they are stepping out of the largest Bitcoin ETFs. We just saw BlackRock dump a crap ton of Bitcoin. These ETFs, they are underperforming treasury bills. If you don't know what a treasury bill is, think of it like a CD, right? You get a beautiful rate. T-bills, the difference that I hold T-bills, CDs, you're locked in, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, or for the full year. Treasury bills, your rate gets locked in, but you can liquidate them at any time without a penalty. So people are starting to choose T-bills over the biggest Bitcoin funds out there. And guess what's happening? Quietly behind the scenes, a rotation. Capital is starting to flow into Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. You know, the assets that have actual utility, actual speed, and an actual use case. This is the classic crypto cycle setup. Phase 1, Bitcoin dominates. Phase 2, Bitcoin cools. Phase 3, capital rotates into high utility alts. And in phase 4, your explosive move begins. And speaking of capital flowing into XRP, wait until you see what Canary just accumulated. This is where it gets wild. On the 4th day of Canary's XRP ETF, trading under their ticker XRPC, just 1 day shy of a full week, they have accumulated over 7.7 million XRP in a single holding right there. Their total holdings now combined for XRP, you see it on your screen, is 132,193,030 XRP now sitting in storage. That's one ETF. We have, it looks like, 3 others going live on Monday, and we'll talk about that either in this video or the next video. You're gonna have to wait and find out. So why does this matter though, right? Because you got retail arguing and fighting on Twitter. Institutions, they don't argue. They don't fight with each other on Twitter. What do? They accumulate. The level of acquisition doesn't just happen unless they see what is actually coming. And speaking of what's coming, the charts, yes, the charts, the ones you're probably staring at because you're worried about what is happening every single minute of the day on your favorite crypto. Well, it is signaling something to us that we haven't seen in months. eGrad put this out. XRP is now flashing a major bullish divergence on the 3-day chart. It's not a small one. It's one of the strongest that we have seen in months. Here's why this matters if you don't know what a bullish divergence is. So every time XRP XRP prints a divergence like this, it usually means that the reversal is already in motion. If we tap that FVG, which is your fair value gap, and you're stressed or tired or you're down in the market, this might be your last real chance to sell before the next macro move. Because if Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, and this is not the start of a bear market, then XRP hasn't even started its real move yet. And this next piece of news I'm going to show you, well, it tells you exactly where the world is actually heading, because New Hampshire, they launched the first ever Bitcoin-backed municipal bond. This is historic right here. So New Hampshire launched this, their first ever municipal bond. This is a US state who's backing a muni bond with Bitcoin. This now opens the door to a $140 trillion global debt market using digital assets as collateral. This is the moment when governments, they actually start acknowledging, and they're probably saying to themselves right now, sitting at their little desks, staring out the window. All right, these assets, they are a legitimate store of value. First is muni bonds, then you got your pension funds, and then you got the sovereign wealth funds. And if you think Bitcoin at a discount, a red candle on Bitcoin scares institutions, I want you to listen to what one major insider just said. This is John. John's from Coinbase. John dropped the truth bomb. He says, if you like this asset, well, then you should like it at a discount. This isn't retail advice. This is institutional psychology. Listen.
In these situations, I try to step back and ask myself, what has fundamentally changed since, let's say, late September, when everyone was incredibly bullish? And the answer for me is nothing. Structurally, we're where we were, if not better. We have the Czech National Bank announcing a central bank Bitcoin purchase, the first Eurozone country to do that. You've got Citibank and JP Morgan announcing stablecoins that they're using to facilitate customer transactions. You've got Harvard Endowment's announcement. You have successful ETF launches. So it's a challenging environment currently, but in my house, we like apples. I don't like apples less when they're on sale. So if you like this asset, you should like it at a discount.
No, he's right. It's like, look, I like me a New York strip steak, or even I'm getting more into ribeyes these days. In my older age, I went from strip to ribs. I like ribeyes regardless of the price, but if my grocery store Publix is going to put a ribeye on sale for $9.99 a pound, I like ribeyes even more. I'm probably going to get me 3 ribeyes that week. Think about that. These institutions we're talking about, they're not panic selling, folks. They're not whining on Twitter or in my YouTube comments. They're stacking before corrections and the discounts, because these discounts, what do they see? They see opportunities. And institutions aren't just optimistic. Some are now saying that every major bank is about to flip the switch, which brings us over to this, what Eric Trump just said, because he stated that every major bank will adopt Bitcoin and crypto. You see how the tone is starting to change? It's not just Bitcoin, folks. It's Bitcoin and crypto. It has always been more than just Bitcoin, right? Listen.
But the reality is the banking system in this country is absolutely antiquated. It doesn't work. It's costly. It's slow as hell. I would have never been in crypto had we not been debanked and deplatformed by absolutely everyone. If I wasn't getting the letters from Capital One saying, congratulations, 300 of your accounts are gone overnight, believe me, I wouldn't have found this industry. But this is an industry that within a year, everybody's going to be in. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody, every bank, every consumer, because this is just the way of the future. And it's an honor to be part of it. And frankly, I'm glad my father's leading the way on it, because otherwise one of the other countries would get it. And I'm glad I look at the 401ks and I see how much they've gone up. And I'm glad I look at inflation and see how much it's gone down. I'm glad interest rates are going to come down. I mean, we're getting our country back.
We're getting our country back. And look, whether you agree with the politics here or not, when someone that is disconnected says this publicly, it means one thing, that the conversations, they are already happening behind the scenes. Adoption isn't coming. Let's make that clear. Adoption has already begun. And the final piece of news today, and this one's going to tie everything together, it has to do with CZ Binance, the man responsible for October 10th and the $19 billion in liquidation. We're going to hear from him what he has to say about the crypto adoption rates. But back to Eric. Look, Eric Trump and his family and all the people around him, they have a lot of money in crypto. They're not selling their crypto right now. They're accumulating because they know we are going a lot higher. Now, whether that happens in Q4 of this year or this thing pushes out into 2026, maybe even 2027, no one has a crystal ball. It is going to go higher and the prices are going to go up, and crypto is going to outperform the stock market. In the stock market, your retirement plan takes 7 years to double. Crypto within the next 7 years, it's going to double as long as you are positioned in the correct assets. We're talking about the majors, your Bitcoins, your Ethereums, your Solana, your XRP, your Cardano, right? We're not talking about the meme coin casino here, folks. And in CZ Binance, he's like, look, we're going to see a race towards countries adopting Bitcoin in other major currencies. Not banks, not funds, countries. That is how big this has gotten. That we are talking about a country race here. We're not talking about the US banks battling each other. Who's going to own the most Bitcoin or who's going to have the first ever stablecoin? It is so much bigger than that. We are talking about countries buying up crypto and using crypto. We started with El Salvador, if you don't remember. And what started with El Salvador is about to become a geopolitical competition, a race where no nation wants to be last. Listen.
Well, the largest economy in the world is adopting crypto, and they're buying crypto. They're setting up crypto reserves. That means any other country who's not doing that now is going to be at a significant disadvantage when they want to do that later, because the richest country is going to buy Bitcoin first. They're going to buy a whole lot of them, and the Bitcoin price is going to go up. The next country that comes in to buy them is going to be buying them at a higher price, so they can only buy less, and they have less money. Now, I think we're going to see a race towards countries adopting Bitcoin, the major cryptocurrencies.
There you go.
That it's good for the crypto industry as a whole. With some logic, like a lot of retail, smaller guys will be left even further behind.
Guess what happens when you get a global adoption race? Liquidity soars, utility skyrockets, and assets like XRP that are built for that speed and are built for efficiency and cross-border value, they enter their prime. So let's recap this insane lineup. Banks just got permissions to hold crypto. Investors, they're rotating out of Bitcoin ETFs and into utility coins. Institutions, they are quietly accumulating. They're not doing it just for fun. The charts are flashing. We have a major reversal signal coming, and it looks like it's going to hit the altcoin market. States are launching Bitcoin-backed bonds. Industry leaders are calling for discounted opportunities. Major political figures, Eric Trump, as we just saw, he says that banks are adopting crypto, and we have a global adoption race right now, right in front of us. This isn't noise. This isn't hype, everyone. This is a coordinated shift toward a crypto-driven financial system. And XRP, well, it's perfectly positioned in the middle of it. If you're watching this right now, I salute you. You know what? You're early, you're informed, and you are ahead of the pack. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me on the way out. Stay sharp, stay bullish, my friends, and I'll see all y'all on the next one.